7.1, we're going to talk about using inverse trig functions. In this first section, we are actually going to do just simple, how do you evaluate an inverse trig function. So I'm going to start out, if you remember back from chapter 5, we learned about inverse trig functions for the first time. And what we learned about, not inverse trig functions, just inverse functions. And inverse functions we learned, in order to have an inverse, a function has to be one-to-one. Well, if you look at a sine graph, it doesn't pass a horizontal line test. So it is not a one-to-one function. However, if we restrict the domain simply from negative pi over 2 to positive pi over 2, then we can see that that little section of the graph will be a one-to-one function, and then it will have an inverse, which is the inverse sine function, which is the reflection of this graph in the line, I didn't do so well there, in the line y equals x. Okay, and it kind of looks like this. So remember, whereas sine of pi over 2 would give you 1, the inverse sine of 1 would give you pi over 2. We use these inverse trig functions to find angles. We do things in reverse. So in chapter 6, we did a lot of, hey, find the sine of pi over 2. And you could tell me that was 1. Now we're going to say, okay, what's the inverse sine of 1? In other words, if the sine value is 1, what angle gave me that? So you're kind of going backwards. You're doing the inverse. Cosine, unfortunately, has to be restricted differently. If we would go from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, it still wouldn't be a one-to-one function. So we have to go from 0 to pi with cosine, and then its inverse would kind of look like this. We won't be graphing these inverse trig functions, so you don't have to necessarily worry about that. But the fact that inverse sine will give you an angle between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2, and inverse cosine will give you an angle between 0 and pi. These ranges of the functions are very important. On the next page, I have a little guide to kind of help you with each of the 6 trig functions. So what you want to do is be able to put inverse sine, inverse cosecant, which is we know the reciprocal of sine is cosecant, and then inverse tangent. Those 3 all will give you an output somewhere between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. Okay? Notice the only difference is cosecant of 0, there's an asymptote, so there's no output. It'll never be an output of 0. And then the inverse tangent will have open intervals because it has asymptotes at odd multiples of pi over 2. Okay, but it's not a big deal. Just remember, inverse sine, inverse cosecant, inverse tangent can only give you outputs between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2, which means somewhere in either the 4th quadrant if the value of x is negative, or the 1st quadrant or if the value of x is positive. We know all 3 of these functions are positive in the 1st quadrant, but they're all negative in the 4th quadrant. Now, these other 3 functions we saw on the previous page give us outputs between 0 and pi. Okay, so that means now if you have a positive value, it'll give you an angle in the 1st quadrant, but if you have a negative value, it'll give you an answer in the 2nd quadrant. Between 0 and pi would be between here. Okay, whereas between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2, you either have to go clockwise to the 4th quadrant or counterclockwise into the 1st. So let's go to the next page and actually find some values. Okay, now hopefully as we go through these problems you'll recognize some of the ratios. We're only giving you problems right now that you can do exact values for. So if I want to find the inverse tangent of 0, this is basically asking the question, tangent of what angle would give me 0? Okay, tangent of what would give me 0? Well, you may recall that the only way we can get 0 from a tangent graph is if the angle is quadrantal. So tangent we know is y over x on the unit circle. So that means to get 0, you're going to have 0 over 1. So on which axis would the x-axis, would the x-coordinate be 1 and the y-coordinate be 0? Well, that would be right here. If x is 1 and y is 0, that would be where the angle has to terminate. And if the angle terminates here, that angle would be 0 radians. So the angle in this case is 0. Now, there's a million angles you can take the tangent of and get 0. 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. You can only get one answer. Remember, inverse trig functions are 1 to 1. If you put in one value, you only get one output. So it's only the answer that's between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. Let's try inverse sine of 1/2. Now that is not a quadrantal angle. It's positive, so we know sine, all functions are positive in the first quadrant. So the angle has to be terminating in the first quadrant. Since sine is opposite over hypotenuse, we know the opposite side must be 1 and the hypotenuse must be 2. Now, you should recognize this as a 30, 60, 90 triangle. The missing side, which I don't really need, but just for fun we'll write it down, is radical 3. This angle here has to be 30 degrees or pi over 6. We're going to give all our answers in radians. So sine of what angle gives me a half? The answer is pi over 6. So you're working backwards. You're getting from the ratio, what's the angle? How about inverse tangent of negative 1? Well, let's see. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So negative 1 over 1. So we want the opposite side. First of all, it's negative, so it can't be in the first quadrant. Well, remember, inverse sine, inverse cosecant, inverse tangent will be in the fourth quadrant if they're negative. Opposite negative 1, adjacent is 1. We know this must be radical 2. This must be a 45, 45, 90. So the reference angle is pi over 4. However, that's not my answer. Pi over 4 would be counterclockwise. That would be in the first quadrant. This is going clockwise. Go the shortest distance, you're going to get negative pi over 4. So what tangent of what angle gives me negative 1? That would be negative pi over 4. Got to be in the fourth quadrant. Let's do a few more. Inverse cosine, I'll just get rid of this altogether. Inverse cosine of negative 1/2. So another negative value. Now here's where people start to have trouble. Okay? Inverse sine, inverse cosecant, and inverse tangent are usually easy for people because really it's just either a positive or a negative angle. If this is positive, the angle is positive. If the x value is negative, then the angle is negative. Not so with inverse cosine. Inverse cosine has to give you an answer, remember, somewhere between 0 and pi. It'll always give you a positive angle. So here's the deal with this one. Inverse cosine of a negative, it can't be in the first quadrant, so it's got to be in the second. Okay, inverse cosine goes, remember, between 0 and pi. The adjacent side is negative 1. The hypotenuse is 2, adjacent over hypotenuse. This must be radical 3, which would make the angle opposite 60 degrees or pi over 3. Now, that's not the answer. That's only the reference angle. The answer, remember, we always start rotating angles from the positive x-axis, would be pi minus pi over 3, which is 2 pi over 3. So cosine of what angle gives us negative 1/2? 2 pi over 3. In this one, the 2 radical 3 over 3 might look weird to you, but remember, that's a rationalized version of 2 over the square root of 3. So remember how important I said it was that you recognize that these two expressions are the same. So it's positive, which is nice because that means the answer has to be in the first quadrant. And secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So we're going to go hypotenuse over adjacent. So this side must have been 1. This must be a 30-degree angle, or pi over 6. So that answer is pi over 6. Radical 3 over 3 is equivalent to 1 over the square root of 3. Once again, it's positive. That makes life easier. First quadrant. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So the adjacent is 1. The opposite is square root of 3. Hypotenuse would be 2 in this case. This will be a 60-degree angle, or pi over 3. Last one, inverse cosecant of negative 1. Uh-oh, that's a quadrantal angle. Cosecant, we know, is the reciprocal of sine. So we know this must be the y value. That is -1. Well, where do I go if y is -1? Down this way. So this is a point 0, -1. So the angle must terminate here. Now, don't go all the way around to this angle. Go the shortest distance. Go clockwise. So that answer is -pi/2. And that's how you evaluate trig functions to find exact values. Now, if you're using a calculator, well, then we use our calculator. I'm going to open my calculator up while we're waiting here. The inverse sine of 1/3 should be simple. All I got to do is hit my inverse sine key and then 1/3, and I've got my answer. So this should be a piece of cake. Let me just quit this. So inverse sine, that's second sine, of -1/3. Was it -1/3 or 1/3? I can't remember now. Let me go back real quick. Yeah, figures it was just 1/3. I don't know why I had negative in my head. Back one more. Let's just delete that. And make sure you're in radian mode, always. Enter. 0.339 or 0.340 if we round it. So then we just write down our answer, and that's what we have, okay? I'm not going to do all three of these. These are all simple because you have these keys on your calculator, okay? Actually, I will do them because I want to show you something. Notice this angle, 0.340, is in the first quadrant. How do I know that? Because this is 0 and this is pi/2, right? Well, pi/2, since pi is 3.14, if you cut that in half, that's 1.57. Notice this 0.340 is somewhere in between that, so it makes sense that it's about the right size. If I go inverse tangent of -1.5, now I'm taking the inverse tangent of a negative. That should give me an answer in the fourth quadrant. Let's see what we got there. Gosh, I forgot that number again. -1.5, -1.5. So -1.5. And again, I'm in radian mode, -0.983. So let's go here. Does that answer make sense? -0.983. Well, this is 0. It's negative, so I'm going clockwise this time. This would be -1.57. Sure enough, that would be somewhere in the fourth quadrant. Now the last one, inverse cosine of a negative, well, that's going to give you an answer in the second quadrant when cosine is negative. So -0.38, just type it in. I've got 1.961. Now, does that make sense? Well, let's see. There's 0 radians. There's pi/2. There's pi. We know pi/2 is about 1.57. Pi is 3.14. 1.961 is somewhere in between those values. That makes sense. It's in the second quadrant, which it should be for inverse cosine. Okay? I'm not going to worry about this just yet. Let me go, let me stop there for a second. One more thing I want to talk about. I didn't have any more here. Oh, shame on me. I want to add a couple problems here. What if I were to ask you to find the inverse? It won't do this till next section, but I'll just do one example real quick. If I would ask you to find the inverse secant of, let's say, -2, okay? What I would have to do is, a lot of people make the mistake of going 1 over secant, or 1 over inverse cosine. That's no good. Remember, this answers the question, secant of what gives me -2, right? Well, if secant is -2, then cosine would be the reciprocal, -1/2. So if I want to calculate this, I would use inverse cosine instead and take the reciprocal of -2. Don't take 1 over the inverse cosine, okay? We'll learn more about that in the next unit, but very important that you understand that. The domain and range of this, we won't worry about this. We're not going to do a lot of graphing. Finding the inverse, we'll deal with that later, so no worries. So I think we're all good. Let me just check. Yeah. All right, good luck.